What's going on, everyone? This is Marila Voe. My name is Arturo. I'm the vocalist in the band.
And this is Miguel. I'm the guitarist.
I'm Randy, the drummer.
My name's Roy. I play guitar. And this is a Get Into the Band podcast. Hey, what's up, guys? In this episode of Get Into the Band, we want to talk about what it's actually like being in a band, some of the stuff that we've learned along the way, and just experiences we've had throughout our process being in Marila Voe.
So the first topic would be starting a band. And when it comes to starting a band, from my personal experience, I've worked with people before where, I've asked them before I took the time to get in my car, drive to their house, and see if they have the band ready, because as a vocalist, I was looking for a band, so I messaged, a certain somebody, and they're like, yeah, we're ready to go. When I get there, I come to find out that the dudes never met the other people. They've never jammed together. And immediately I was like, okay, this is a little off. Like, this doesn't feel right. Like, I'm looking for something that's stable already, that's professional. And the whole time that I was there, he was talking to the other supposedly band members through, what's that shit called? That shit,
Skype.
Yes, he was talking through Skype, dude. And I was like, I mean, I didn't tell him anything mean. I was just like, okay, dude, so you never jammed with these people before? He's like, nah, man, I'm just trying to get a band together. And I'm like, all right, cool. Well, I'll keep in touch. That shit you don't want to run into. That's like ridiculous, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I think when me and Miguel were starting this band, we didn't really know about how to find like a drummer or a singer or a bass player. And I wouldn't really want to call it a mistake, but one of the first things we did was we used Craigslist to kind of look out for people. I don't know if you want to say how you kind of came about that, Miguel.
And that's how I found that guy too.
I
Craigslist.
think we should like go way back before that. All that me and Roy got in touch again as far as like starting Marila. It goes back to a couple years where it was me, him, our buddy Tony as a drummer, and a bass player named Ryan,
Right.
I believe. And it looked like it looked like a pretty promising band at the time. We were having regular practice, songs were getting done, and it just started falling apart piece by piece. The bass player stopped showing up to practice, and then the drummer just, I guess, couldn't make time for practice, and then pretty much,
It's just everyone had different priorities, really.
yeah, and then I believe we went back to school at some point in time.
We were basically that we had tried starting a band with mutual friends that we knew, basically, just people we went to high school with, not necessarily looking for the right person. And I think that's what we need, where we're gonna go into here. And I think like a common mistake of most people that we meet or us personally is trying to start a band with your best friend or someone you think is going to be the right person, which is typically they're never the right person. It's always someone who's just as motivated as you. That's the right person.
Which, I mean, it would be awesome to like start a band with your best friend. I mean, that would be like the ideal thing to do. But what Roy said, yeah, exactly what Roy says is it's you got to find the right people that are well driven as the same as you.
I think we've all been through that little phase of trying to start a band with your friends. I did the same thing too. Like when I was 16, I went through like a little metal phase where like it was nothing but Bullet from Valentine and Atreyu and Avenged Sevenfold. And I wanted to sound just like that. And I had my BC Rich and my Line 6. And like the other guitarist that I work with was like, yeah, man, we're going to shred. And, it just didn't work out. Like I think we weren't matured musicians at the time. And I'm kind of glad that it's happening now because it's the right time that it's happening. Before, I was so desperate to try to be in a band, and that's the mistake that people make. Like, they're in a hurry to try to get out there and play shows, and, they don't try to find the chemistry with the right people, and that's where it kind of falls off.
Yeah, and not that there's anything wrong with starting a band like that, because everybody does it. But at some point you realize if you want to take it serious or you want to try to be successful or have maybe a career eventually, there does take some professionalism or choosing the right person for the job because it's a lot of work or it takes a lot of time to do this. It's not easy being in a band. Though it makes, I think, us individually happy doing this, it's still not easy all the time. But you have to have people who are willing to prioritize themselves into being a member of something or a band.
And you also got to put aside the idea of you actually had to put the work and hours and miss things you're gonna miss. I don't want to say like your kid's birthday party or anything like that, but certain things you're gonna have to like sacrifice that you usually put time into, like either if it's you watching a series or binging on something, you would just have to replace that with either practicing by yourself or practicing with the band or just learning new things, the instrument that you're using in the band, because that's the biggest weakness, is having someone in the band that either doesn't practice their parts or just doesn't get better at their instrument. That could really bring down the band in so many levels. So that also, practice is the biggest thing in my eyes.
I always say to people, it's easy to start a band, but it's hard to find the right people for your band. That's the hardest thing in the world. And I think the bands who do make it or have success are really lucky because they have found those right people that just are willing to put in the work to get to that next level or go places. That's definitely, it's not easy having that happen.
It's basically being in a relationship with other guys
or people.
Yeah, it is it is kind of difficult, that relationship. The comment that Randy said, yeah, it takes time to build that. You might not have that at first. Not every band's gonna be the same, but at the end of the day, what matters is how well you guys work together to reach the same goal. For example, going back to what Roy said, with finding the right people, it's also important to build a brand. And like he said it's easy to start a band and it's easy to write music. It's easy to start playing shows. But the most important thing is starting to build the name that you have, the name of your band, which is the brand.
So, like Arturo said, I guess we're segueing into the next topic, which is not only being in a band, but building a brand as well. So there's a lot of stuff that comes along with that. Whether that be having a cool logo for your band, the way you represent yourself, or I don't know, what would you say?
What do you mean the way you would represent? Ah, yes, professionalism, right? Like your image. I won't say it like.
Yeah, I mean, you want to take yourself seriously. I mean, in the world of social media and treating your band, I suppose, like a business, you want it to look good. You want to have nice,
right.
like professional kind of content or interesting content that kind of will differentiate you from the crowd, because it's really easy to take a picture on your cell phone and post a shitty picture of your band from a live show, opposed to actually putting time into paying someone or getting someone to come out and shoot really good photos for your band or video, which actually makes a better image for you guys.
Or either that or actually learning how to get into the photography, like Roy and Miguel. Like being in this band, I think that they've grown a lot with filmography and photography. It's either take that route or hire someone. So it's entirely up to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Roy have come a long way from word art or PowerPoint to paying for professional programs to either get our promotional videos done or
Flyers.
Flyers. And the other thing too is you don't always have to get the most high-end camera professional person. You can always either ask a friend, a buddy, and just have them try to do their best as far as get the camera. If you don't have the cash to either pay for someone or you just don't have the budget for that.
That's a good start, definitely.
And if you're going to do it yourself, at least, like, seriously, just fucking do it right. Like there's a lot of bands that I suppose do it themselves and it doesn't look good all the time.
which is not if you're starting off, it's not a bad thing. At least get better at
I at
it.
least care to want to get better at it for sure.
It's all about growth. I mean, you don't want to be in the same spot forever. Like, you don't want to play in the same venue forever. You know, you don't want to play in the same city forever.
Or
Like,
even, I mean, it even comes down to like promoters you reach out to or other bands that will look at you and kind of say like, do we want to get these guys
Yes.
on the show? Or are they professional? Are they gonna take their Are they gonna take the set time seriously? Are they gonna be here to do sound check on time? Your image has a lot to do with that because that's how people judge you based on your image of the band as well as the brand.
And it gets easier as far as getting the shows that you want.
but it only gets easier with the work you put in.
Exactly, because I mean, if you're just bullshitting and not giving a crap about your image or the way you present yourself, or like Arturo said, just playing the same venue all the time. I mean, you could probably get the same venue and try to get the same time slot,
Like, easy.
but getting into like your foot in the door with other promoters, you kind of have to either they have to take the word from, hey, I've worked with this guy before, and they can also talk to each other and be like, yeah, give them a shot. They're gonna go ahead and they're really professional, and they're gonna get the job done either by selling tickets if you have to, keeping their time professional, or
Promoting the shows yourself, whether that be old school, like you're gonna go flyer out in person, or if you're gonna make it a little bit easier, use digital media, make those flyers, make those promotional videos. That's all a part of it.
Learn how to market yourself. Very important. And work as a team.
Yeah, that comes with time too. Like with us, I mean, we've all grown into our individual roles, not on purpose. Like we said, okay, well, Miguel's gonna do this and Roy's gonna do that. We all decided to invest time and effort into networking, promoting, making flyers, filmography, editing, audio editing.
yeah, which is like finding each other's strengths and just putting that effort into the band.
And I guess the gist of it all, with building a brand, just treat yourself like a professional artist. How do you look at the people that you looked up to when you were younger, or maybe some peers or other bands that you play with? Just treat it professional, and I think other people will look at it the same way.
I think that's a good point that you said. Yeah, like it's one example that I've told Roy, Miguel, and Randy is like the bands that I've grew up with and that I admired when I was young. Like now I just see them like regular guys just doing what they love. You know, the way that we perceive things changes, and I think that comes with being professional in the band. So another thing that's very important is investing into your band.
That's the next topic.
Which is a big thing, which comes into you presenting yourself as a professional. I mean, if you don't have the cash or anything, I mean, just do your best to get by as far as either getting a pretty decent equipment to perform. I mean, you don't want to have something where it's always breaking on stage, or the drums are falling apart, the amps always cutting in and out. Make sure just to have your rig or drum set or whatever the instrument that you're going to use. Just make sure it's suitable. It's suitable for the performance, and you're going to be able to perform properly without any issues.
Yeah, you don't want to go on stage and all of a sudden your pedals don't work.
Pro ready. I call it
Or,
pro
you know,
ready.
your gear giving out in the middle of the show.
And I think even more important than that is investing into your band, like in a bigger picture, because it's kind of going back to it kind of being like a business, if that's how you're going to treat it, which it's not only the gear is just part of it. And that's only momentarily, because after that, you have to make bigger investments, like if you're going to be recording in a professional studio, or if you're going to be investing into merchandise, getting a van, just expenses that are going to come. The more that you treat your band like a business or
A company.
a potential career, the more you're gonna have to invest into it, and the more money you're gonna have to put into it. So it's definitely not easy. Even though you can have multiple people in the band, you have to somehow manage to find ways to help build that business or kind of like I guess like cash flow into the band. So it eventually does get easier. You eventually do sell those T-shirts at your shows, and people are buying them, or your record, or whatever that may be, and it just gets easier.
But to be honest, the reason why it gets easier, like going back to what I said earlier, is you got to put the hustle in, man. You got to put in the work. Like, you can't expect your other bandmates to just like, go and hustle the shit off. Like, everybody's got to put their part in. Like, when it comes to tickets, when it comes to shirts, when it comes to working together as a unit, like you guys got to put that shit in, put the work in, and then you just keep growing and growing and growing, and then it just gets better. Like, for example, like our guitarist Roy, he designed the logos, the designs that we had on our shirts. So that was pretty cool. We didn't have to outsource for that kind of thing. So anyway, you can save money. It all goes back to you on how much work you want to put in to create, something where you don't need anybody else to do it for you.
Or you can't be in this business if you don't have money, I think.
Yeah.
And it's like we don't have money either. We're not rich, but I mean, we're finding ways to
Suffice.
invest into our band somehow. I mean, we
Yeah.
have to be creative at this point.
Like save the money that you made from the show that you played. I mean, it might not be a lot, it might be a lot, but just think of that as an investment to put that towards something.
Like, everything that you make from the shows counts. Like, I could understand if it's a tribute band, like everybody gets their own pay, but with an original band, like, that's the band's money. Leave it there, let it build up, because eventually you're going to need it. Like, whether you go on tour, whether you need to get more merch, you're gonna need it for each other.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't pay your. I mean, eventually you're gonna pay yourself, but I think when you're starting off, you have to kind of use it as more as in the budget, make like a band budget, and like keep growing that investment. And it's just you sell those T-shirts and you recycle it, and you sell those new shirts, and you keep going from there.
And we understand money is tight, but it just depends on how serious you are.
Exactly.
I mean, Randy Ubered, he hustled.
Yeah, everybody puts in their own hustle. Like, for example, like I don't like playing covers. I don't like playing, other people's music. But I started doing a tribute band, so that way, that money I can invest into putting in for my original band as another source of income.
And I mean, also we have a practice space that we have to pay for monthly. Like, we don't have a place that we just go to. We have to pay for this place. So that's another thing that we're putting money into all the time. But anyways, I think that's enough of the investing. I think it's pretty straightforward. The next topic is, I think, a pretty good one for us, which is deciding to do your EP or your record DIY or go in a professional route.
And yeah, that is kind of tricky, because I mean, if you're gonna DIY, if you know where you're capable of, pushing out, and you think you can, kind of make a decent quality record or EP or a single, go for it. We did it ourselves, and we thought it was pretty awesome. But then, on the other hand, we did go to a professional studio, and we are in a studio right now recording, and it's another whole world. Especially working with the producer and him helping us along the way on getting a really good sound.
Or at the end of the day, it's how people are going to look at you, or going back to how serious they're going to take you. Because you trying to build a career in a band, your recording is just as important, because people pay attention to that. I personally love great sounding records. And it's not to say that I don't listen to some kind of more punky, edgy sounding records, but I like nice sounding recordings. I think everybody does.
And I think there's nothing wrong with a band trying to record themselves. I mean, I encourage everybody to try to do that. Learn from your mistakes. If it sounds good, cool. If not, then, you can use that as a demo and take it to the studio and be like, yo, this is how we sound. can you work with us? It's a good foundation to start off.
Yeah, I mean, so we did it twice. We released two EPs. We released a two-song EP in what, 2015,
Yeah, I think it was.
and then we released a third or second EP in 2016. That's called Tres Vidas. That's 3 songs, which we did ourselves again. And I mean, that definitely opened the door for us. A lot of opportunities came, but I don't think it has been something that we can truly be very proud of, and it, like, kind of monumental. But it was more of something that got us to the next step. So I mean, in my opinion, DIY versus professional, unless you have a lot of sick gear and you have a badass studio, sure, do it yourself. But if you don't and you're doing it in your apartment, and unless you're a jit band or something, I recommend going to a professional studio, even if you can get a producer. It definitely takes things to the next level, and will take your potential career to the next level as well.
And I suggest do your homework as far as who you're gonna go with.
Yes.
Because you also want to see their work. Kind of like you're looking at their resume. I mean, you don't want to go with like a metal band and you're like an indie band. I'm not saying that the metal band producer or the guy that produces
Will
metal
turn you
bands
down.
is gonna do a shitty job. But if he's just producing metal bands and you have no way of knowing what your kind of music is gonna sound coming out of that. So
Yeah, don't be desperate to go to the first person that you've found.
or if they're the
You should
cheapest
shop
one,
around.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to stick with do your research first. Find, a producer that's done the kind of music that you're into. Because that way they're going to want to take more time to try to perfect what it is that you have.
And if you're going to do a professional, have a budget at least, because you're going to need to lay down a good amount of money, whether you're going to record an EP or a record.
We understand that, recording an album is not cheap. It is expensive and it is very time consuming, but trust me, it is totally worth it.
$100,000 worth it. That's for sure.
And the next
and not wait,
yeah.
and not only that, most people. I mean, maybe you get lucky and the guy is gonna do the mastering as well. But you also gotta think about like what comes after the recording gets done. It's not just all said and done. They're gonna have to mix it in, and then you're gonna have to send it out to outsource to get mastered, or if you get lucky and that person ends up mastering it itself too. But that's another thing we learned as well, is that the recording just doesn't stop at we recorded the last track. That's gonna get sent off to a mastering studio where they're gonna do their mastering magic, and it's gonna come back.
And
even
that's also
better.
another thing. You also want to look into the engineer who masters records or whatever that is, and make sure you're choosing the right person. Look at what they've done. Look at their discography, and if it relates to you or if it makes you excited, then go for it. And if you can afford it, do it. And the next topic would be networking, which we've learned a lot. I mean, these past 3.5 years. Is that how long we've been a band?
Yeah.
Yes.
Just about.
Pretty important. It's like one of the most obvious things for any band who's trying to get anywhere is networking.
Yeah, it's always nice getting your foot in the door, either with the promoter or another band that just gets to play on different bills, or is able to put together shows, and they're willing to help out another band. And then of course always do a good impersonation. I'm sorry, impersonation.
Impression way.
Do a really good impression on either whoever's promoting the show or wherever you're gonna go play at, because
Yeah.
that goes a long way.
Yeah, and I think be good at people, because I mean, I think we've met someone not that long ago who told us that like their idea of making it and like or sticking out as being a musician is kind of having this attitude of like we're better than you,
What?
which I don't think that's true. I think you kind of have to treat people with respect,
Ability.
because you never know who you're going to meet along the way, or who could potentially help you along the way, whether that's getting on a tour or going to another city or whatever that may be. You want to be good at people.
Communication is key. Definitely communication is key. One thing I've learned being in this band is just talk. Just fucking talk to people, man. Like I said earlier, like just hit them up on Facebook and don't randomly hit them up. Just present yourself professionally. Be like, hey, I heard your music and I know that you opened up for the same band that my band has in this city. Like I think it's really cool. And just be outgoing, establish a connection, and build a relationship. So that way we all help each other. And it's at the end of the day, it's not about this band being better or your band being better or who gets the most crowd. It's about us helping each other, just spread the word. I'm happy, to say that I built a relationship with Hitting Subset from Austin or So Soon the Truth from Houston, just by talking to them. And also depends on who you know. Like getting in the music scene, getting to know people like Michael Carrillo, respect, shout out to him. He's come a long way. He's a venue owner. I've helped out with booking there. I got So Soon the Truth there. Well, actually, no, that was Chris Blakey, my bad. But I've got other bands there like Southpaw Sonata. And that's the beginning to building a relationship to try to get to other cities and building a tour.
Yeah, sure. Even, Michael, who owns Ventura here in San Antonio, Texas, he was actually kind enough to let us use his van when we went to Houston.
Oh, yeah. That
Yes,
was
to
cool.
Houston.
So that's a part of being good to people.
Shout out to you,
Because,
man.
you never know when things like that are going to occur, and you have people help you out.
Yeah, and then we want to give a quick shout out to Chris Blakey,
Woo.
Jennifer Holt from Torn Productions.
Jennifer, we love you.
Who else are we missing?
Yo, Chris, you my
Mike.
homie.
We were just mentioned Michael Carrillo. He was one of the first people that helped us out, and actually one of the coolest people is Ted Rackley
Oh yeah, to reckon.
for giving us our first shot on stage.
Totes. Kudos to him, man.
Yeah, we learned a lot along the way because our first show was literally an open mic, which is funny or it's kind of ridiculous when you think about it. But we had to kind of get our foot in the door somehow. We didn't really know what we were doing in the beginning, and when we started, we kind of through mutual friends that we knew that were already in bands or playing shows. That's how we got our start, and then from there, we're kind of like getting message on Facebook or emails to, hey, do you want to play the show? And then we started hopping on a lot of shows for local bands. But then at some point, you have to kind of dictate, do you want to continue playing local shows all the time, or do you want to try to grow? And a part of that, once we realized that, that's when we started reaching out to promoters and trying to get on bigger acts and opening for big touring bands that are on record labels like Ecovision or Sumerian Records or Blue Swan Records, where we've been lucky enough to have the chance to do that, and which that was one thing that we thought would be a long time to kind of reach, but I don't want to say it's easy, but as long as you put in the work and you reach out to the right people, you're gonna get there, and then I guess your expectations change after that, in my opinion.
I think the reason why we started getting there was because we took this shit seriously. We didn't see it like oh, let's just have fun, let's just be in a band. We took it seriously. We tried recording ourselves, and that shit was good enough to get us shows with Joint Productions. Shout out to Chris Blakey for sending our music to Jennifer Holt. That's how we got that show with Cian Bar last year.
The other thing too is the main key is ask. That's all you gotta do is ask. Worst thing they can say is no.
Yeah, exactly.
That's where it's all gonna start
so
off.
You get 3 no's, you get a yes eventually.
Yeah.
Keep doing it.
Yeah. But it's just keep grinding, till eventually people are gonna start remembering you or the band, which we feel pretty comfortable as far as people kind of know who we are or they know what we can bring, and it gotten easier, really easiar.
And don't worry about whether people like or don't like your music. I think
sure.
just about 2 or 3 days ago, I was thinking about how much we've grown as a band, and I think it hit me when I finally realized that we started meeting people who knew who our band was, and just the name in general. They probably never heard us, but they knew who we are, or who knew who we were. And I kind of thought about that, and I used to say when we first started playing shows, those local shows, those small shows, uh, who cares? Let's just do it. And as long as people see our band name or they see our brand, going back to the branding, who gives a shit if they like it or don't like it? The more important thing is for them to know who we are. And so you do this shit over so long and you stay relevant, they're going to start recognizing you.
Exactly. It's kind of like when you go to the movies and you fucking see Coca-Cola, like every fucking where, like you don't gotta like that shit. You know, I don't even like that soda, but you see it, so it's like, you know what? I think I want a Coke.
Yeah, exactly. Then people start recognizing you. Then maybe they're going to come out to a show. They know who you are.
One thing for sure too is building personal relationships, and I don't mean personal like dating. I mean personal like reach out to the people that appreciate your music. Like if they message you like, dude, I fucking love the set that y'all played, or dude, like you guys are so awesome. You know, take the time to engage with them and tell them, you know what, man, I appreciate what you're doing. You know, let's grab a drink sometime or let's hang out. You know, don't make it all about yourself or all about your band, because they're taking the time of day to buy your merch, listen to your music, and go see you live.
Yeah, I mean, I think that touches it up on networking. The last topic we have here would be something that we kind of take a lot of pride in as far as the way we treat our band, Marila Voe, is working as a team, individually, so that way we can collectively, achieve our goals, and also treating ourselves like a record label, not just a band.
Which is not easy, and it does take a lot of work to get to that point, because I think possibly for like the first 2 years of this band, Roy had the time and patience to kind of lead us and put in the time and work into like making us look pretty awesome on social media. And then, from then on, I was like, oh, okay, cool. Well, what do you need help with, Roy? And then I ended up, learning either the video and Photoshop kind of stuff, and then kind of took that little less work off his plate. And then I'm really bad at networking, but Arturo for some reason has like the magic magic touch when it comes to
he's
that.
The fucking singer of the band who is really outgoing. But I mean, don't step on anyone's toes for doing like things in your band. But at some point, if you feel like things are going to be easier and it's going to be less stress for you and the band, and someone else could take over and do whatever it is, whether that be flyers or video work or
your profession. Do you mind if I say something real quick? I'm sorry, I'm going to cut you off. Like going back to what Miguel said, like for the record, I honestly didn't come into this band with the mentality like, fuck yeah, I'm the singer and all the attention's on me.
But he just cut me off because he's got that singer mentality though.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
Just kidding. No, go on.
Like I wasn't thinking like, okay, I'm going to come into this band and all the attention's going to be on me and it's all about the singer and the singer gets all the attention. Like, fuck that. No. Like one thing I was thinking was I found people that want to do this shit. Like, I don't give a fuck about myself. I give a fuck about this man. I don't give a fuck. Like, fuck the Mayweathers. No, I'm playing. No, but definitely one thing that's very important is if you're going to be a front man, be outgoing. And that's one thing that I've always been. I've always been outgoing, and that's how the networking works, because I talk to people in a very humble way. And, I like being around people, it's cool, and that adds on to the frontman persona. Like, it wasn't on purpose. Like, okay, I trained myself to do this. Like, I talked in the mirror, like, hey, how you doing? Like, I wasn't like that, but everybody finds their own role, like, with time.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to take some time. I mean, unless right out the gate, you guys know what you're good at, then do it. Like, for example, Randy he was the one who recorded us at the beginning, and he was our personal engineer.
He was our producer.
But he does a lot of stuff that we don't necessarily enjoy doing, which is like, I don't know, how would you explain it, Randy?
I'm just the guy in the back that knows a lot.
Like setting up the mics,
a lot of gear, like
gear-wise,
tech shit. Like,
he's like
fuck that.
He's like a roadie and a drummer in our band at the same time.
And our dad.
At our dad
sometimes.
So yeah, Randy does a lot of the like physical aspect, like as far as in
I load the gear, I get it there, make sure everybody's on time.
Making sure the gear is working properly.
Yeah,
and
he got us in-ear system set up as well, which I don't think we would have really necessarily
It
known how
is
to
kinda
do.
it would have probably
complicated.
took us like a
Randy
month.
also set up this podcast setup, by the way, so that's another thing that he does. I mean,
Well, we went to the store to go get water. He did it.
yeah,
In under 15 minutes.
and recently Miguel, going back to working as a team, he's recently taken over a lot of the video work that we do or the promotion online. A lot of the documentary stuff that we're doing in the studio right now, that's Miguel, which I think we played at KRTU a while back, and I think that was kind of our intro into
Filmography.
kind of that was like our introduction into
Putting a face to the band.
documenting ourselves as a band as well.
Yeah, it's still,
and
and
then-
it's a really good video. I was showing it to some people at work, and they were asking me like, "Who shot it? Who?" Like, yeah, we did everything
It
ourselves.
was
Yeah.
Roy too.
I mean, even going back to the investing, we all have like, there's a ton of GoPros in this band now, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah, I'm the
lot,
only one with that one.
like a ridiculous amount. And we have DSLR cameras, which that's a lot of lenses. Anyways, Miguel's done a lot of the video stuff for us, and some photography stuff, so it's pretty cool. I personally do a lot of the flyers or a lot of the
media.
I do a lot of the
media
media, so I
posts, yeah.
take care of our social media, all our Facebook, our Instagram, advertising or sponsoring posts, things like that. So my job is to try to make sure that everything looks good, we're presentable, and we have a professional look on social media, and just trying to do things that a record label would be doing for us.
It's like a fucking factory, man. Like you have like the machines that like do all the shit and get it together, and then you have the guy who inspects it, like, you know, like, and then he puts it back in the conveyor belt, and then you have the guy that's like, oh, okay, you know, it's gonna go to Wisconsin or to Texas. It's like that, man. You have to work as a fucking team, because if you don't work together, you're not gonna go anywhere. I guarantee you.
Yeah, and which goes back to the first number one thing that we talked about is finding the right people, because you can't have one lazy person in the band and expect them to
Which
get
we've
carried.
had, by the way. We've
Yeah.
had lazy people in this band, but
And
they're
we
not in
won't
this
say
band
names
anymore.
ever.
And I mean, I guess one way to explain the working as a team is the idea of the podcast. I had this idea that we should do a podcast so we could try to do something different that I haven't seen any bands do, that would kind of connect us connect us with our audience in a different way. But once we're done, Randy's going to be the one who edits it, and he's going back to what he's good at, his skill. He's going to edit it, and once that's done, it goes back to the marketing part and putting it out online.
Yes,
and
of course.
The media done. So it's just like,
Quality control.
yeah,
sort
just
of.
like back and forth, keep throwing it back and forth. Boom. Like whether I do something, I hit up Miguel, and he's like, "Hey, Miguel, I'm done with this. I need your help with this." And
Oh, sorry. One another thing too. If you want to try to connect with people with the same music or the same genre, if you want to call it that, with the people that listen to it, go find groups on Facebook. Like, for example, like I've met a lot of cool fucking people here in San Antonio from like the Circus Survive group or like the Dance Given Dance group, and like they like our music, because they relate our music with that type of music. I won't say that I'm gonna call it that, that it sounds like this band or sounds like that band, but they can relate to it. And I started building a relationship with that. So a big shout out to fucking all of you like that I've met along the way of being in this band. Like I really do appreciate how much you guys like us. Without you guys, like we wouldn't be anything, and I really appreciate and there's a lot of names I'm gonna say, so I won't say them, but you guys are fucking awesome.
And then the other thing too, don't always forget, kind of check yourself at the door with each band member. Like you can't, make sure your egos don't fucking
Collide.
not collide. Like, just don't bring that to the band. Like if you're in a band and you have this one guy in the band just kind of giving orders but not really having a plan, or if they do have a plan, kind of like, and they're not letting you do anything because they're taking over.
I've dealt with
whole
that before
thing.
too.
Just
Yeah.
just try to like I said, stay in each other's lane, but also to make sure to tell each other what's going on.
And don't go over your head.
Be open about it too. Like, don't keep it a secret.
Yeah,
And
because
then-
there definitely used to be a guy in this band who was very like controlling. It definitely wasn't me.
And, it wasn't him this time.
No, I mean, that's true. To pick up on what Miguel was saying and to be transparent about this, it's like when this band first started, it was like I guess the idea started for me, and it was real like I was real like personal and like this is my egg and I nested it and la la la. And once I realized that you're never gonna get anywhere without a team,
You let go.
that opened my eyes because I wouldn't be here because of myself. I'm here because of Arturo and Randy and Miguel, and it's just vice versa. We're all here because we help each other. We helped each other get here.
But you know what? I can relate to how you felt at the beginning, because if it's like something that you gave birth to and you have other members in the band telling you like, okay, well, I think we should do this and I think we should do that, I can understand why you'd be like, no, wait, hold on. Did you start this or did I start this? Because to be honest, I kind of feel the same way with my other projects. So now I can relate how you felt. But then I remember we're all in this together. It's not my shit anymore. Let's make it happen.
Which is funny because like now that we're talking about this, now I get it, and now I get Celino y los Dinos and Miguel y los Jets. Like I could see why.
Randy and the Hats.
I could see why that those type of names and that go with that artist exist. Because that's their shit, I guess.
they
And
got their big ego machine.
exactly.
Yeah, huge ego machine for sure. And the people that we work with in the past, and I won't say how many people we work with. I'm gonna say that we worked with 50. Let's say that we'll work with 50 people, and some of them had a huge fucking ego that it didn't work well with the band. And but I will say, if you have somebody like that, talk amongst each other and bring that person in and talk about it with them. Your concerns. Don't just be like, okay, you're out. Just be like, yo, dude, like, we're worried about this and that. Can you work with us here? Can you meet us halfway? And if they can't meet you halfway after 2 or 3 times, then something's
Yeah,
gotta be
just
done.
move on. It's not
Yeah,
a big deal.
The worst thing to do is to be in a band with the person that you don't enjoy being around with, and especially if you're gonna be on the road.
Exactly. If you're gonna be on tour or around each other all the fucking time, you have to enjoy being around each other at least,
At least
most
5%.
of that time.
Yeah, because you're gonna have to wake up and eat cereal with that person at some point.
Share the
Like
same
for,
milk. Give me my milk.
For
Hey, we would
months.
be lucky to be eating cereal.
Or share the same ramen. You better break that ramen in half.
and it's like since we're still on this topic on working as a team, make sure everyone's on the same page. Like it's the best thing to have everyone on the same page rather than like 2 members are just like always talking amongst each other on what's going on with the band, and then shit gets left behind when they're actually at the band meeting. At least
have band meetings. That's
Yeah.
super important.
yeah, band meetings help a lot because it helps us understand what we're talking about or
What
what's
we
the
need to do
step.
next.
Yeah.
We could do something that like maybe a month later we're like, okay, like where are we at? What's the next step? What's our next goal? We already hit this. What do we need to do to get to the next level?
It's like evaluations. It's like
Yeah.
every other company. They do it. From time to time, they get together. Where we at? What we need to do? It's like, Jim, what we got?
Yes, always set goals. That is very important. Set goals.
Yes,
Yes,
set goals,
on
and
paper.
don't be afraid also to like tell that band member, like, hey, you kind of need practice on this, because it goes back to the whole thing. Like you can't have everyone at their top of their game, and then that one person kind of falling behind or just not.
Accept constructive criticism, pretty much.
Yes.
Like, you need to have somewhat of a thick skin because it's like you're a coach to each person in the band, and you have to keep pushing each other to keep growing and getting to the next level or doing better or, fixing the things that are maybe affecting the band. Whether, I don't know, it could be a bunch of topics, but maybe it could be communication or musicianship. It could be a lot of things, but don't be afraid to be open and give it constructive criticism to your bandmate. at the end of the day, it's treating your band like a record label as a business at the end of the day. So that's why we treat it like that. That's why we talk to each other that way.
Be your own label. That's right.
And have fun. Don't make it seem like everything's so
Yeah,
strict.
exactly.
I mean, it's definitely have fun with it, but at the same time, take it seriously. Don't fucking think that it's a game. And, like you can just get drunk before you go on stage. Like, nah, fuck it, whatever. I don't care. No, take this shit seriously, man. But have fun with it too.
But I don't know. I don't know if anyone wants to conclude this.
I think that concludes. One thing I will conclude with, sir, is that I'm happy to be a part of what we're doing, and I hope that whoever's listening, if you're looking to get in a band or if you're in a band, I hope you fucking take off.
Yeah, just do it.
Take off and get big, man. We're all in this together. Like, we all want the same thing. So let's not fight each other.
And if you're not a musician or trying to start a band, just share our stuff.
And if you are a follower of our music, I fucking love all of you. I love you so much. Let's all hang out soon. Totes.
Right now.
Totes me goats.
We have a lot of new music or a lot of new stuff that we have to share
Yes.
eventually, and new music. So just keep following us, like us on Facebook.